In the late 80s and early 90s, puzzle games became a defining genre on the Game Boy. Among these was Kwirk, a quirky and challenging game that introduced players to a unique puzzle-solving experience. My first exposure to Kwirk wasn't through the game itself, but from Video Power, a television show that featured Kwirk as a character on the Power Team cartoon segment. This exposure sparked a love for the game's colorful protagonist and its gameplay, and over the years, I've come to appreciate Kwirk as both a nostalgic title and a solid entry in the puzzle genre. Kwirk was developed by Atlus and released in Japan in 1989 under the name Puzzle Boy. The game made its way to North America soon after, where it was rebranded as Kwirk. While the gameplay stayed largely consistent across versions, the game underwent a few changes for its US release. For instance, the Japanese release has a slightly different visual style and includes a few alternate level designs. These differences give Puzzle Boy a unique feel, but Kwirk retains the core mechanics that made the game enjoyable in any region. At its heart, Kwirk is a top-down puzzle game that challenges players to guide Kwirk, a walking tomato, through a series of increasingly complex mazes. The objective is simple: reach the exit by pushing blocks, rotating platforms, and moving barriers. The game requires players to think carefully and plan each move, as some puzzles can't be solved by brute force alone. There's a surprising amount of variety in the types of puzzles, which keeps the gameplay fresh. Kwirk has multiple modes, including Going Up, which is a series of progressively harder mazes, and Heading Out, where players must solve puzzles with the least number of moves possible. This range of gameplay modes was an impressive feature for an early Game Boy title and showed that the game was designed for both casual players and puzzle enthusiasts looking for a real challenge. For fans who watched Video Power in the early 90s, Kwirk might bring back memories as part of the Power Team, an animated segment of the show where video game characters formed a superhero team. Kwirk was portrayed as a cool and courageous character, fitting the era's love for personified anthropomorphic mascots. Seeing him alongside other beloved game characters added a lot to his appeal, making Kwirk stand out not just as a puzzle game hero, but as a pop culture icon of the time. One of Kwirk's greatest strengths lies in its simplicity and clever design. The game mechanics are intuitive, yet the puzzles are challenging enough to remain engaging even after repeated playthroughs. The inclusion of various modes and difficulty settings was also a big plus for its time, offering replayability that went beyond what most puzzle games of that era offered. Another positive aspect is its portability. The Game Boy was designed for on-the-go gaming, and Kwirk fits that format perfectly. The short but challenging puzzles are ideal for quick play sessions, making it easy to pick up and put down. However, Kwirk is not without its flaws. The game's limited graphics and repetitive music can start to feel monotonous after a while. While it's understandable for a Game Boy title from 1989, players who aren't huge fans of puzzle games might find the visual style a bit bland, especially when compared to other Game Boy titles that pushed graphical boundaries. Additionally, while the puzzles are varied, they can sometimes feel overly challenging, requiring precise movements that aren't always easy to execute on the Game Boy's small D-pad. This can lead to moments of frustration, particularly on higher difficulty levels, or in the move-limited Heading Out mode. Kwirk may not be the most visually striking or well-known Game Boy title, but it's a charming and challenging puzzle game that stands out for its innovative gameplay and its place in retro gaming history. For those who remember Video Power and the Power Team, Kwirk carries an extra layer of nostalgia. But even without that connection, the game's clever puzzles and simple yet satisfying mechanics make it worth revisiting for anyone looking to experience a classic handheld puzzle title.
Chase